Let's hope that the situation holds out. All right, everybody. Well, for those of you who were on a little earlier, it might be a little deja vu, but I'll repeat what I said for the benefit of those people who might not have logged on early. Again, my name is Jeff Fiore. I'm really honored to be the guy who is doing this training for you guys. I do want to mention that we were supposed to have Kendall, President's team member, do this. He was unavoidably taken away from doing this evening, and he felt really, really bad. So he actually called me personally to ask me to do this, and of course, I agreed immediately because I was thrilled to be able to hear this myself. And the second thing is, of course, this is such an important meeting and training with you guys. And Jim Rohn is somebody who is absolutely, affected my life 1,000%. I would absolutely, very wobbly and vibrating sound. Well, it might be you guys. I don't know if it's me or if it's your system. Anybody else? Is the sound okay for everyone else? It's all right. Okay. So if everyone else is good, then if you've got a problem, then just log off and log on, and then you will probably have something better, or your computer might be doing something. So I can't continue with problems like that. So if there's something going on, I'll stop. If not, I'll continue. So as I said before, make sure you guys are ready to take great notes. Have your pen and paper. Have a journal. Make sure you're going to be doing a lot of writing, things that you're going to want to keep for the whole year. So have a place that you can keep this writing and that you can work on it. Okay. What we're going to do today is the idea of goal setting from Jim Rohn. And as I told you before, that this is so important that we wouldn't even want to give this training ourselves. We actually wanted to give you a recorded training by Jim Rohn, the man himself, so that you could get it. It's so important. We didn't want to take any chances that we didn't give it to you exactly the right way, because it's vital to your success and to all of our progression. So in any case, what we want to do is make sure that you guys get it directly from the man. So this is going to be a recorded training from Jim Rohn. I just want to give you something very quickly about Jim and about my situation with Jim and this training coming up. Number one is that Jim Rohn affected millions of people around the world. He didn't only work with Herbalife, but he worked with corporations around the world. Large corporations used to hire Jim to do trainings for their companies so that they had a greater productivity, a much greater success in their company. But for us, Jim is always the man who inspired our founder, Mark Hughes. All of us would not be here today had it not been for Jim Rohn. Mark Hughes was a young man who was very lost in life. He had a lot of rough times when he was a kid, and he definitely got on the wrong track for a while. So what ended up happening was he finally got into a place where he had a chance to collect donations for a youth anti-drug program. And so he went around door to door and collected donations from people so they could fund that really worthwhile program. And he actually was very successful at it. And that was his first positive experience with things that weren't destructive for Mark. And at that time, he also happened to go to a seminar. A very young man with very long hair, Mark Hughes, walked into Jim Rohn's seminar. And for some unknown reason, Jim saw in Mark almost right away amazing potential. Even at that time, those of you who might have seen Mark even when he was a bit older, but he's still a young man, he just exuded something special. And Jim saw that. And he definitely fanned that potential and fed that potential and helped him develop himself to be Mark Hughes, the Mark Hughes we knew, and really affected all of our lives. And Jim, by affecting Mark, has affected millions of people. Of course, Jim was the mentor of people like Tony Robbins and other very famous in their own right motivational speakers and personal development mentors. So Jim has really had an amazing effect. He's taken things that were taught to him and expanded them. And he had the ability to say in just a few words what other people might take books to try to write. And so that is the beauty and the magic of Jim Rohn. So I can just say that this is the most important training Jim ever did, is setting goals. And so all of us today have an opportunity from from Jim, to hear this training. So what I suggest you guys do, and as I said before too, you couldn't have this training happen at a better time. This is just after the new year, when it is time to completely set ourselves new goals and set ourselves clarity. If you don't have clarity in what you want to do, you'll absolutely not do it. If you don't know what you're wanting to do, if you don't have a map of where you're going to drive, how you're going to end up someplace. So this is really up to us to be able to figure out, what do we want? What do we want to achieve? We may not know exactly. You may not know ultimately what you want to do, but you want to know the next step. You want to know what you can set out for yourself now as best you can. And by doing that, it will lead you to the next step. It will lead you to the further goals down the road. But truly, we need to start to see further down the road more and more and write these things down. And Jim is a master at being able to share with you guys exactly how to do that. You know, Kendall, when he did this training, mentioned a study they did at I think it was Harvard or Yale University, and they did the graduating class, and they found that those people who did this, writing down the goals, setting their goals, the 3% who did that had the lion's share of the success and the jobs that they wanted, you know, in the 90% more, ended up having exactly what they wanted. They achieved those goals. They were able to find their way in this world. And so this is so vital, so very, very vital. And I'm going to follow these exercises along with you guys, even though I'm going to be running the show as best I can. I'm going to be writing down as much notes as I can. So, you know, for me, I won't waste too much time on my story and all that, since I'm not the one really giving the training. But for me, I was also a very lost young man who was a rock and roll musician 23 years ago when I came to Herbalife. And I had some success in some music, ran some music stores, but nothing to shout about. And, you know, with Mark Hughes, with Jim Rohn, you know, I was very blessed to have these guys really live in my life, and some very personal experiences with them. I remember, I'll just give you one quick story of Jim just to show you what kind of man this guy was and how he invested his life in our lives, and that was his thing, invest life in life. I was flying into Spain for a big training with the company, and we happened to be flying in on the same airplane. And so when we landed, Jim was in first class and I was in coach, you know. And so we got off the plane, and I happened to see him, and he kind of knew me from some things I had done already in the company. And we saw each other at baggage claim. And he said, hi, you know, he greeted me, which was really an honor anyways. And he said, look, do you have a ride to the event? Because we were landed, and I had to go right from the plane to the event because I was flying in that day and so on. So he said, well, look, I have a limo from the company. Why don't you get in the limo with me, and we'll drive together to the event, and we'll drop you off at the event, and then they're going to drive me all the way to the mountains, because Mark Hughes and I are staying in the mountain. It's a beautiful hotel up in the mountains in Spain there where we were. And so I said, oh, thank you so much. You know, I mean, just to have 5 minutes alone with Jim, you know, can you imagine what an amazing honor it was for me. So we get in the car, and Jim says to the driver, or the Spanish driver, look, you know, we're going to drop this gentleman off at the center, which is just here in town, and we're going to continue on to the hotel. And he said, see, okay. And so we started driving off, and we ended up talking. And Jim and I were talking, and I asked him many questions that day, and we were talking and talking, and as we talked, we started to see that the town was starting to fade behind us. And Jim looked at it, and I looked at Jim, and he looked at me, and he said to the driver, sir, we're supposed to drop off this gentleman at the hall there, and I know we passed it. And the gentleman looked at us kind of quizzically and started speaking Spanish, and then we both realized that he didn't speak any English. So what ended up happening was I took an hour-something drive with Jim up into the mountains of Spain. And it was an amazing conversation with Jim Rohn. It's really one of the special points of my life. So all I can tell you guys is this, that the man was real. He was special. He was amazing. And he was willing to give young guys, I was 27 or 28 at that time, just his full attention and his full efforts. He didn't look at me as some guy who just didn't matter. Just like Mark when Mark was new. And that's how we've got to be. We've got to invest our life in life around us. And we need to learn from the masters, those people who did it and made the difference. And we can make that difference. Okay? So take what you gain here, use it yourself, and pass it along to those who you can affect, who come into your sphere of influence. Make sure you use this to help others. That's the whole point. Okay? If you don't share it, it's a little bit wasted. Okay? So what we're going to do then is we are going to switch on now with Jim, and make sure that you have, of course, do the workshop, write all these things down, turn off all your phones, your TV, the radio, tell the kids to go play or watch a video game or something like that. Focus on this. This is absolutely your time, and you know, use it wisely. Okay. And I'm going to do my best because I didn't run this. I didn't expect to run this today, but I'm going to try to follow along with this and do my best with changing the sound here. Okay. So let's go right now without any further ado, and let's go to the great Jim Rohn. I hope I can get this. I'm going to have to use some interesting ways to do this. So let's try this, okay? So here we come with Jim Rohn, and if there's any problems, let us know. Otherwise, I'm going to just run this through to the end, okay? Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Jim Rohn, as soon as I can do my technical magic.
Bring Jim back on for the afternoon. Please help me in welcoming Mr. Jim Rohn.
I was positive when I got older and had less hair that you could get ready quicker. Now it takes more time to arrange each one. I mean, it's a little difficult. Anyway, is everybody okay? If you're ready to go, say, let's go. I like this crowd. We should do this again sometime. This is fabulous. I'm telling you. You guys have worked so hard. In fact, you've worked as hard as I have, or any of the speakers. Taking notes is not an easy deal. Thinking, pondering while you're taking notes, it's hard work. But you know, a crash program for 2 or 3 days, we can tolerate that. Every weekend, you know, it'd be a little tough. Couldn't be done. But you've done such a fabulous job. I appreciate that. Okay, let's do the workshop now and setting goals, developing a good plan for the next 10 years, especially. Some of the things you want to accomplish. Let our dreams pull us through. Our objectives sustain us, get us up early, keep us up late. All right, drive us to do the disciplines, read the books, take the classes, study, whatever is necessary. If the dreams are strong enough and the purpose is strong enough, we will pay the price. Then after we've accomplished, here's what you'll say. Small price to pay. Okay, so let's go to work. Entitle this part of it now, Workshop. And under the workshop, I'm going to ask a series of questions, and it's going to serve as a model so that you can teach this to your children, you can teach it in classes, you can teach it anywhere. And I'm going to give you the question first and then give you time to work the exercise, okay? So you jot down the question and then work the exercise. And if for lack of time, we have to cut you working the exercise a little bit short, it's something you can continue, after you've gotten home or whatever. You can continue doing the exercise. But I want to make sure I get through it all so that you have this format to follow on setting goals, because I think it's so valuable. Okay. Under the workshop, now here's the first question. What 5 things have you already accomplished that you're proud of? Let's take some credit before we go to work on the future. We've accomplished some things in the past. Let's give ourselves credit for that. When you're working with kids, this is important. What 5 things have you already accomplished that you're proud of? So I want you to make a note of that question, and then I want you to do the exercise. Make a list of 5 things that you can think of that you've already accomplished that you're proud of. And we've probably got some gold medal winners, no telling who we've got in the audience. I did a tour of Australia once with Mark Tewksbury, gold medal winner. And I'm sure under this exercise he would have put that on his list. Won the gold medal in Barcelona. I also did that tour with David Chilton, who wrote the book, The Wealthy Barber. If you haven't got it, you got to get it. Might add it to Charlie's list. The Wealthy Barber by David Chilton. It became a #1 bestseller in Canada. Sold 600,000 copies first year. A bestseller in Canada is like 50,000, 60,000. 600,000. And David used to say, I'd be #1 in Canada if Jim Rohn had quit pushing the Bible. So list 5 things that you've already accomplished that you're proud of. I graduated 3rd in my high school class. I was really proud of that. Took a lot of hard work. Now, if there's only 3, it's not that great. You got that now? A list of 5 things you've already accomplished that you're proud of. Sometimes even for kids, you have to do a little coaching. Sports or school or whatever. Did you win a blue ribbon? Did you come in first? So this is part of this format, is to do a little coaching to help people, get through these exercises. Okay, 5 things you've already accomplished that you're proud of. Okay, now here's the next exercise, and this is going to take some time. Next question. What do you want in the next 10 years? I want you to make a list of at least 50 items. Now, this is not what you think you can get. This is what you want. If everything fell into place and you could have anything you wanted in the next 10 years, what would that list be? Not something you think you can earn, not something you think you can buy, not something you think you can, finally be so successful you can get. This is what would really do it for you the next 10 years. I want you to make this list. And here's the deal now. I want you to put each item one under the other. Not side by side, but one under the other. And make as long a list as you possibly can in the time I'm going to give you. One underneath the other, because we're going to do some things with this list when you finish. Okay? Just start writing now, as fast as you can. Abbreviate where you can. Make a longer list. If something's private, put it in code so nobody can figure it out if they got a hold of this list. One underneath the other. As fast as you can write. Just let your dreams, run free here. Not what you think you can get, but what you want. If everything fell into place and you could have whatever you wanted the next 10 years, what would that be? Little things, major things, insignificant things, doesn't matter. Just make the list. Places you want to visit. I've been to a lot of countries, but I got a long list of countries I haven't been to yet. Last year I checked Cyprus off my list. What countries haven't you been to that you'd like to visit the next 10 years? Cities you'd like to visit. I've never been to Venice. I've been around the world and all over Italy, and I've never been to Venice, so it's on my list. I haven't been to Egypt. It's on my list. I haven't been to Saudi Arabia. You'd think I've been everywhere, 39 years. Not yet. What experiences would you like to have in the next 10 years? Parachute out of an airplane? Star in a movie? Play in a rock and roll band? What do you want for your children? That's a whole list in itself. Education, places you want to take them. My parents traveled. So valuable for me. I missed 21 weeks of high school. My junior and senior year combined, 21 weeks I missed. Still graduated third because my parents took me. My parents took me everywhere. They wanted me to meet, and they wanted me to see, and they wanted me to do. What new skill would you like to learn over the next 10 years? When I started learning new skills at age 25, it changed my life. I learned sales, multiplied my income by 5 first year. I learned how to find good people, recruiting, multiplied my income some more. Learned how to organize, learned how to promote, rewarding people for small steps of progress. I became so good at that. My income went crazy. Maybe you'd like to give seminars, write some books. The next 10 years. Some things right away, within the next year, some on out there. 10 years is a pretty good chunk of time. Some changes you'd like to make, some habits you'd like to drop, some new ones you'd like to acquire. You might make a list of the people you want to meet over the next 10 years. I got Buck Owens coming up right end of this month. Me and Buck. Bakersfield, oil patch country. It'll be so much fun to check Buck Owens off my list. I was having breakfast the other morning. Guess who was there? Milton Berle. Uncle Milty. 93 years old. Going strong. Gosh, it was incredible because I'd never met him before. Benevolence goals. Maybe you've got a long list of projects you'd like to support. Now, this is not what you think you can do. This is what you'd really like to do. Mark Hughes had a passion for helping kids that had drug problems. One year he gave $8 million. $8 million. When I first met him, he couldn't give 800. Finally, he could give $8 million. Wow. Andrew Carnegie said, I'm going to spend the first half of my life accumulating money, and I'm going to spend the last half of my life giving it all away. That's big time. In the first half of his life, he accumulated $400 million, which back then was a lot of money. Guess what he did the last half of his life? He gave it all away. So Keep your list going. What's got you turned on? Maybe you've been turned off until you got here this weekend. I want you to start working on turning your lights on for accomplishments. You can't believe what you can accomplish if you'll just work hard on this list. You know, it's amazing how adults have, a problem with this, right? Let's see. And kids don't have any problem. They'd be asking for extra sheets of paper by now. I mean, kids say, you mean anything I want the next 10 years? Yes, write it all down. They would go like crazy. A cabin in the mountains, upstairs maid, a cook, a chauffeur. How about your investments, properties? One of my goals was someday to be financially independent. We're going to talk about that a little later. My father convinced me years and years ago that someday I should be debt-free. Owe no one anything. My mother and father practiced that. When I inherited the estate, all the lands and the house and the buildings and the things and the cars and everything, guess how much was owing when I inherited it all? 0. Not 1 penny. Everything free. It is a glorious feeling for no one to have a claim on anything you got. Maybe you want to be in the top 10 in wealth. Is Bill Gates still number 1? The top 10 or the top 20? I mean, whatever. Maybe you're working on a new invention. Congratulations. Someday. Who knows? Make a list of your health goals. Got to have a good physical support system over the next 10 years. How healthy do you want to be? Eliminate some illnesses. Eliminate some weaknesses. Get strong for competition in the 21st century. One of my goals was to have a residence in each season, for each season. Finally check that off my list. So I could spend winter here and summer here, autumn here, spring here. Residence for each season. An apartment in Manhattan. A ranch in Brazil. What would really do it for you the next 10 years? Some goals for your career, your business. Some productivity goals. Okay, are you doing well? Does anybody have 50 yet? Okay, we've got quite a few. We're going to take like 3 or 4 more minutes, so just start putting everything you can think of on here. I put a little revenge on my first list. Some of the people that said I couldn't do well, they were on that first list. Couldn't wait to get my new car, drive it up on their lawn, and say, oh, pardon me, here's the money to have it fixed. I mean, I had some stuff on my list. Something that would give you incredible satisfaction. Old Testament, God says, vengeance is mine, all mine. No wonder he wants it all. It feels so good. If I was God, I'd want it all. What would really do it for you? Some scores to settle, gently but deliberately. My Japanese friend, Toro Ikeda, San Jose, California, put on his first list a Caucasian gardener. I thought, hey, that's good, Toro. What would do it for you? Okay. Become a wine connoisseur. I'm learning more and more how to make wine. It's an interesting process. A hobby you'd like to start. Collecting. New car. Become a race driver. I got this neat little motorhome, right? Put the dirt bike on the back, away I go. I'm now putting a fax machine in my motorhome so I can be a little more in touch even when I'm gone. Here's my new mode for the future. In touch and out of reach. That's the new deal. Say, yes, you can, right? You can contact him, but you can't find him. For a while, he's gone. So, what is your goal for the future? Get away. Something that would really serve you well in terms of refreshing, change of pace, skills you want to help teach your children. I taught my girls how to swim, how to dive. Such great satisfaction when they used to say, watch me, Daddy, watch me. Look how good I am. You taught me, watch me. Got a good phrase for you. This is a good one to put in here. All life seems to wish to reward its benefactor. All life wishes to reward its benefactor. If you take especially good care of the flowers, they will bloom especially bright for you. If you teach your children, they will want to show off for you. Daddy, look how good I am. You're the one that taught me. You want to watch me do it again? All life takes delight in rewarding its benefactor. What classes would you like to teach? My friend Lydia Cologne, who 20 years ago invested $1, now she's a millionaire. One of her specialties is helping young parents do a little marriage counseling. Right? Some of those early years, right? 2, 3, 4, 5 years, those early years are pretty tough to get through. What specialty would you like to learn? Make a contribution to society. Make a contribution to your community. Does most everybody have a list of 50 now? Let me see the hands. How many's got 50? Okay, that's almost everybody. Okay, now put a little star there, right, that says you can continue this list. This doesn't mean this is all you get. Say, no, this is just to get you started. Because I promise you, when you get back home, you'll think of 50 more and 50 more and 50 more that you couldn't think of while you were here. And this list can grow and grow and grow. Now, here's what this also means. If you have a lot more time than we have today, you can take plenty of time to just have people make as long a list as, possible. Okay, now we're going to do some things with this list. Here's the next exercise. I want you to look at each item on this list you've made and give each item a number. The number being a 1, 3, 5, or 10. And this is why. I want you to look at an item and say, I think that would take about 1 year. Another item, you say, I think that would take about 3 years. Another item, I think that would take 5. And another item, looks like that's going to take 10. Give each item now a number, what you think it might take to achieve that goal, a 1, a 3, a 5, or a 10. Just somewhere close, doesn't have to be exact. That's about a 1, that's about a 3-year goal, that's about a 5-year goal, that's about a 10-year goal. If it's less than 1 year, just make it a year. If it's more than 10, just make it 10. 10 plus. approximate, 1, 3, 5, 10. If you finish early, you can add some more to your list. Running a marathon. Now, as soon as you've given each item a number, I want you to now go through and count them. How many ones, how many threes, how many fives, how many tens? And then just make a little list of those numbers. How many ones, threes, fives, tens? This is going to be interesting. Now, I'd like to have a woman and a man volunteer to give me your tabulator list. How many ones, threes, fives, and tens? Right out here in the center somewhere. Yes, sir. Would you stand up and give me your numbers? How many ones? How many threes? 12 threes. 17 fives. Thank you very much. Now that's a bit unusual. How many of you had no 10-year goals? Okay, quite a few, right? Isn't that interesting? Here's what that means. You're not thinking out that far. You're thinking more short-term than long-term. So the number you had, what was it again on 10-year goals? 14. See, that's... If someone had 0, someone had 14, that's a lot of difference in thinking long range. So that's all that's for, is just to help you to think more long range. Now, I need a woman to give me a list. Yes, ma'am. How many ones? What is it? 23. Wow, that's pretty good. How many ones did you have, sir? 7. Isn't that interesting? Okay, threes, how many threes? 16 threes, 5s, 7, and 10s. 10 10s. Wow, you've been busy. Okay. She's done this workshop before, so she knew what was coming. See, that's pretty good. But now you get what I'm talking about? No 10-year goals means you're not thinking out quite that far. And it wouldn't hurt, you know, within the next year to start stretching on out there, 10, 15, 20 years away, what you'd like to be accomplishing and what you'd like to have when that time frame finally rolls around. Okay. Now, make these notes. When you've accomplished some goals, you need some more to accomplish. Next, it's very important when you reach a goal that's significant or important to you to celebrate. So just jot that down. Celebrate a significant accomplishment. Or it doesn't have to be that significant. If it's important to you, it doesn't have to be world-changing or life-changing. If it's just a goal that's really important to you, you finally reached it, celebrate. Now, hopefully on your list of goals, you had some family goals. And if the family together finally reaches a goal, jot this down, celebrate with the family. And if you're checking it off, let each member of the family put their check mark on this goal because the whole family worked on this one. Now, here's what this will do. It will help each member of your family to make a longer list of goals. Wow, if we can accomplish this, think of what else we could do. The same is true of you individually. When you accomplish something, check it off, celebrate. It'll help you to grab your list, wherever it is, and say, hey, if I can get here, I can double that original list. So celebration creates excitement to develop a longer list. You also need goals ongoing. When the early astronauts went to the moon, some of them, when they came back from the moon, had psychological problems. Some of them drank too much, got into other difficulties. And one of the reasons is, Where do you go now that you've been to the moon? So here's what they did later. They made sure that the astronauts later who came back from the moon had plenty of projects to keep them busy after they had been to the moon. And the same is true of you and me. Goals, after you've reached them, another list. After you've reached those, another list. My father lived to be 93. You can't imagine the goals he had. One of his goals when he was 92 was to get his driver's license renewed. Guess what he got it renewed for? 4 years. At age 92, he got his driver's license renewed for 4 years. Now, he didn't live long enough to... If he'd have thought about it more, I think he would have lived 2 or 3 more years just to make sure he filled all that out. So he only lived to be 93, but at 92, got my driver's license renewed for 4 years. You can't imagine. He used to show his driver's license. Unbelievable. So, goals to replace goals that you've achieved, on and on. The rest of your life. Because the philosophy we discussed yesterday was what? How far should you go? Far as you can. How many books should you read? As many as you can. How many friends should you make? As many as you can. How much should you earn? As much as you can. That's it. What should you try to be? All you possibly can. And that's the purpose of this exercise, is just to stretch you, get you to think, get you to wonder, get you to ponder. I wonder what might be possible. If I could get everything I wanted, what would that be? Now here's the next exercise. Okay, jot down the question. On your list of 1-year goals, which are the 4 most important? Of your 1-year goals, which are the 4 most important? So now I want you to go back over your 1-year goals and pick out the 4 most important. Now, if you've only got 4 now, this is an easy exercise. But you might add some more to your 1-year list if you haven't got enough. And then pick out the 4 most important. This is what turned me on at age 25. Goals for accomplishment and personal progress. Once the fires were lit for me, I'm telling you, they have never gone out. Since I was 25 years old, no one has ever said to me, when are you going to get going? When are you going to get off the couch? When are you going to get off the dime? I've never heard that since I was 25 and got all this taken care of. Wow. Here's what I've heard since I was 25. When are you going to slow down? You can't visit that many countries. You're going to have a heart attack and die. Amazing. By the way, you might stop and jot these notes down. Here's two excellent questions to jot down. And this is for mature people now, because these are kind of tough questions, especially one. Here's the first question. What's got you turned on? That's a good list to make. Here's what's got me turned on. Here's what's got me up early, staying up late, maximizing my abilities all day long. Here's the list of what's got me turned on. Now here's the next question. What's got you turned off? How come you don't have the zest and the vitality and the appetite for daily accomplishment? I started making a list of the things that had me turned off. And once I got that settled, and then started making a list of what had me turned on and what would turn me on in the future, my life has never been the same. It was like a revolution, a personal revolution, a 180-degree turn. Wow. I can't say it strong enough. It's easy to get lazy in designing the day and designing the year and designing the future and designing what you want to accomplish and just cross your fingers and hope it'll all work out, that the favorable winds will blow it all your way. I'm telling you, it's not going to happen. So this is part of the exercise. It's just, buckling down, making this list. And you got to continue this long after we've, turned out the lights and we've all gone home. Keep this up. And one of the best ways to keep it up, I've already covered yesterday, is what? Teach it. The key is to teach it. Jan was right. You don't need recognition. Just go give everybody you can think of that deserves it recognition. And your own self-satisfaction is recognition enough. If they never put a crown on your head, who cares? Okay, the 4 most important one-year goals. Have you got those identified? Okay, now here's the next exercise. This will take now just a little bit of time. And the question is why? Why are those 4 goals important to you? Because the why is very important. And I'm going to give you some notes on that a little bit later. So just start a little paragraph. Why those 4 goals are important to you. A couple of more minutes for this one. And then we'll put a little star there that says continue this later. And then I have some more notes for you to take. A couple more minutes. Why? This is a good question to ask kids. Kids said, here's what I'd like to have. And you say, why is that? And if they can start describing the why. So now make these notes. Put a little star there now. And that star means that, you can add to it later. So make these notes now. Here's the first one. When the why gets stronger, the how gets easier. When the why gets big, powerful, strong, how seems to be so much easier. Without a strong enough why, the how seems to be too difficult almost to accomplish. Say, how do you manage your time? Hey, if you had strong and powerful enough goals, you'd figure out how to manage your time. You'd get a book on the subject. You'd do something to manage your time if it was worth it. If it's not worth it, why would you bother studying the art of managing your time if it really doesn't matter? But if it really mattered in the accomplishment of your goals and why you wish to accomplish them, see, you can do anything. You can get up any hour, read any book, take any class, make any change, develop any skill, do any discipline. I mean, you can do it all. When this how and the why, or when the why starts to grow, the how gets simple. Excellent question to ask children. Why? What for? Little note. Maybe one of your goals was to have $1 million home on the hill overlooking Snake River Valley. Okay. That'd be a good goal. $1 million home. Here's the next question. What for? What for? I mean, a house is a house is a house with bricks and wood and walls and roof. The key, yes, $1 million home, that'd be wonderful, but what for? So now jot this down. Purpose is stronger than object. The object would be the house, and that'll pull. That's a worthy goal to go for, the object of the house. But here's a stronger goal, the purpose for the $1 million home. You say, well, it'll be the centerpiece of all the family's activity with all kinds of unique people coming and going and the influence and things will be happening in this place. See, now we're getting somewhere. So if you got that line, it's one of my best for the whole day. Purpose is stronger than object. It's okay to have plenty of objects to go for on your goal list. But always keep asking yourself the question, and sometimes it's good to just write it out. Here's why I want this money. Here's why I want this place. Here's why. And you start developing those reasons. And I'm telling you now, this starts to become incredibly powerful. Okay. Now here's some more notes. Some of your goals should be personal development. The person you wish to become. Develop skills that make you attractive to the marketplace. Develop the temperament and the attitude that makes you attractive to the business world. The attitude and the temperament that makes you a splendid father, studying the art. Because here's what's important. It's not what you get that makes you valuable. It's what you become that makes you valuable. I keep saying this year after year for the last 39 years publicly. It's the person you become. I admired my friend Mark Hughes for the fortune he made and the company he built. Guess what I admired more? The person he became in a short 44 years. He was unique. He bought the idea at age 19 of personal development and worked on it daily from that day until the time he died. The idea of becoming an attractive person, a skillful person, a good friend, a good colleague, a good partner, a good member of the round table, a contributor. See, that's the key, the person you become. Okay, now here's the next exercise. Isn't this good stuff? I mean, I'm telling you, this stuff changed my life, altered the course of my life. From milking cows to sitting on this stool. Incredible. What a journey. And part of the explosive stimulation started when I met Earl Shove. And he asked me, have you got a list of goals? And I said, no. And he said, then I can guess your bank balance. I thought, whoa. I immediately started studying the art. And the art and the accomplishments of it helped to change my life and qualified me to come and speak to you today. You got to be qualified, right? You invite 1,000 people to come and hear what you've got to say. It's unbelievable. But all of this journey, happened for me. Now, here's the next exercise. I want you to look now at the whole list that you've written and the exercises we've done. Now I want you to answer this question. What kind of person must I become to achieve all I want? And I'll give you time to write that down now. What kind of person must I become to achieve all I want? Now we've got two things working. What you become helps you to achieve, and what you achieve helps you to become. And the more you become, the more you can achieve, and the more you achieve, the more you can become. Who knows which affects the other the most? So now just write this exercise. Start with a few sentences. We won't have time for you to, take a lot of time, but just start with a few sentences. Your concept of the person you think you must become to achieve what you want. This is time for a little truth here. Maybe you need to become much wiser than you are at the moment. You need to become stronger. You need to have better health. Maybe you need a little coaching. To really become the person I want to become, I'm going to have some coaching. Physical coaching, spiritual coaching, developing skills coaching. To be the influence you want to be, you got to build an incredible reputation. What kind of person must I be to attract all that I want in my life and the people that I want and the opportunities that I want? When you knock on the door and opportunity opens, you must stand there as a very attractive person, or you may not be invited in. One of the most mysterious and unique phrases that Jesus ever used. Here's what he said. I stand at the door and knock. And if you opened the door, would you probably invite him in? This extraordinary person. You say, wow, yeah. And he said, if you invite me, I'll come in, sit down, talk things over. For you to be that kind of attractive person, that if you knocked on the door of opportunity and it opened and you stood there, would you be the kind of person that opportunity would say, come right in? and sit down and let's talk about the future. Wow. What kind of person? Okay, now put a little star there. And what the star means, right, is to finish this exercise later. Now, if you're working, right, in a workshop where you've got plenty of time, you just, take a little more time for some of these exercises. My purpose now is to give you a model to work from. Okay, now, next, on setting goals, jot these key notes down, and then we're finished. And then we're going to talk about time management before we run out of time. Guy says I was going to cover procrastination today, but I've decided to put it off until tomorrow, right? Okay. Make these notes. The key is to put everything on your list. Now, the key is to take it out of your head and put it on paper. You can dream about what you want, but when you start committing it to paper, now it more formalizes. Information now starts to make a composite of an idea. And ideas can turn into hotels. Ideas can turn into enterprises. Ideas can turn into a fabulous career. We need the information. We need the stimulation. But then you'll learn now later to start putting everything on your list. Now, jot this down. It's very important, if something's not that important to you, to take it off your list. You don't have to accomplish this whole list. But if you had 100 items on your list and you accomplished 80, who cares about the other 20? If you got the biggest share of what you went for, wouldn't that be enough? And the answer is probably yes. It'd be overwhelming. Okay. So you can rearrange this list. You can change it. You can tear it up and start over. You can say, last year I thought this was so important. That's not important to me anymore. The things I've learned in the last 12 months, I've changed my whole goal list. I thought this was so it. Okay, now here's the next note, and we're wrapping it up now. Here it is. There's two great words of antiquity everybody should learn. Here they are. One's positive and one's negative. And we studied a bit about that yesterday. Positive, negative. Here's the positive word from antiquity. Behold. That's the positive word. Behold the possibilities. Behold the opportunity. Behold the future and give it design. Behold and look at the chances you've got. Behold, spring has come. Behold, the day has arrived. And the sun is shining and the shadows are fleeing away. Behold, the next person you can meet might be your friend for life. Behold, the next person might be a colleague forever. Behold, that's the positive word, behold. Now, here's the negative word. Beware. Now I want to give you a sentence to jot down that's very valuable for this weekend session. Here's what it is. Beware of what you become in pursuit of what you want. Beware. All of our lives we have to deal with behold and beware. When a kid goes to school, it's behold the opportunity and beware the dangers. Behold and beware. So beware of what you become, pursuing what you want. Some things I went for in the very beginning cost me too much. I got so obsessed with some things that I found out later the price was too big to pay. If I would have known better, I never would have paid. But sometimes we learn when? After. So don't become so obsessed with something that you lose your sense of reason or it costs you your friends. Don't be so obsessed with something that you compromise your virtues and your values. The story says Judas got the money. You say, well, that's a success story. No. It's true, 30 pieces of silver was a sizable sum of money, but it was not a success story. His name was Judas. Doesn't that ring a bell? It makes all the difference in the world. Judas got the money. Here's something interesting about the story of Judas. After he got the money, he was unhappy. Someone says, well, if you had a fortune in your hand, why would you be unhappy? And here's the key. He was not unhappy with the money. He was unhappy with himself. Here's a key phrase. The greatest source of unhappiness is self-unhappiness. It's not from outside the things that make us unhappy. The greatest devastating unhappiness is to be unhappy with yourself. Now, a mild form of unhappiness is constructive. The desperate form of unhappiness is destructive. It's like worry. We should all worry a little, but not let it destroy our lives. If you're in New York about to step off the curb in downtown Manhattan and the yellow taxi's coming, best you worry enough to get your feet back up on the curb lest you get yourself wiped out. So it's called caution but not undue caution. It's called fear and worry, but not the worry that kills you, not the worry that destroys you. It's like hate. You don't need to hate your job. Save your hate for the important things like evil, like the weeds that attack your garden, like the diabolical ideas that try to entice your children. Right? You don't need to hate everything. I hate this, I hate that. That's the misuse of your hate. Save it for the things we really must hate. But this is so important now to beware. Judas was so unhappy he tried to take the money back. They said, heck with you, we got what we wanted, you got what you wanted, out. They threw him out with his money. Now he becomes so desperate, he goes out and hangs himself for what he did. He became a traitor. So that's the caution. If Judas could speak back to us in any kind of clear language, here's what he might say. Beware of what you become in pursuit of what you want. Don't sell out. It's not worth it. And now here's the last note. If you'll start this glorious journey of being meticulous, deliberate, and hardworking about setting your goals for the day, setting your goals for the month and the year, setting your goals for your family and yourself and your business and your colleagues, start thinking forward. Here's what you will become. A major contributor not only to yourself, but a major contributor to others. And that's exactly what you want. Here's another little subject before we quit this now and start on time management. But I am running out of time. I just mentioned it a little earlier before we started this class. Jot this down on personal development. This is especially for married people that have children. If you're married and you have children, I got some great advice for you. Here's the best I can give you. I'm not a counselor, but this is great stuff. Here's number one. If the parents are okay, the kids are okay. Chances are high, odds are high. If the parents are okay, the kids are okay. Your own self-development is the best contribution you can give to your children. Not self-sacrifice, self-development and contribution. Self-sacrifice usually earns contempt. Self-development and self-investment earns respect. I used to use the old phrase, I'll take care of you, you take care of me. I found out how short-ended that was. I changed it. And Bob Cummings, the old movie star, helped me to change it. Here it is. I'll take care of me for you if you'll take care of you for me. The best contribution I can make to you, if you're my friend, is my personal development. What if I become 10 times wiser, 10 times stronger, 10 times better, 10 times more unique? Think of what that will do for our friendship. If the parents multiply their own personal value by 2, by 3, by 5, by 10, what would that do for their children? Wow. If the parents are happy, I'm telling you, the kids will be happy. Parents engage in unique lifestyle. Don't miss anything. Drink deep of the cup of whatever's available. I'm telling you, if the parents are okay, the kids are probably going to be okay. Wow. If you're on an airplane, the stewardess says, if we run out of oxygen, these masks are going to drop down. And then she says, make sure you take care of your children first. No. Would you underline no? Would you underline no? No. Have you got that? You should take care of your children first. No. That's key. It says, put your mask on first. You take care of yourself first. Then you assist your children. And I just mentioned that would be a good title of a book, wouldn't it? For parents, put your mask on first. Isn't this good information? I couldn't wait to get here today to hear what I've got to say. And this is good stuff. The best contribution to your company is your self-development. The best contribution to your husband or your wife is your personal development. To become all you can become, as wise as you can and as kind as you can and as unique as you can, that's the best contribution. Not self-sacrificing, self-development and self-investment. Maybe that little talk might be worth the price of the weekend, for the time and the money. It was helpful for me. Here's one more on that. With your family or whatever decisions you have to make, if you've made the decision, best decision you can, but it's going to cause some pain, here's what you must learn to do. Accept the pain, but not the guilt. There's part of our head sometimes that tries to make us feel guilty if we've made a decision that's been painful, not necessarily, not just for us, but maybe even for other people. But it had to be made. So here's the key: to accept the pain, but not the guilt. Because it's not pain that destroys you. It's good. Isn't that goal-setting section fantastic? I mean, this is life-changing stuff. Now, one of the reasons why I came to Dallas now to do this goals workshop is because I had the vision of all of you out teaching this goals workshop. I said, well, if I can affect 1,000 people in Dallas, think of what might happen in the future if I can get everybody teaching things like this, setting goals that change your life, change your family, change your future.
You've reached the end of this disc. The program continues on the next CD.
So, is that something, or is that something? Jim Rohn just is, that's why we had to play this. There's nobody around here that I'm aware of that could have said those things to you in the way that was really the best way of saying it. That we would have missed something. We would have not had the right words. We would have not had the right understanding, the right meaning. So I would just add one more thing to that, and that is continue. Don't just stop what Jim has said. You can get more information. If you want to get different seminars from Jim, you guys can go on www.jimrohn.com and order his seminars, and there's different ones. And, I was blessed to have Jim in my life probably 20 years or more. He just passed a couple of years ago, last year. And there's a lot there. And the key thing is, don't listen to this stuff just once. Make sure you repeat it over and over and over again. It won't sink in. We all are a product of our history, our past. And not all of it's wonderful. Not all of it's helpful. Make sure that you guys take the time, invest the time in your own self to erase all those things that we do habitually that don't aid us or others around us every single day. We hurt ourselves more than we can even imagine. And what we've got to do is stop hurting ourselves first. And then maybe we can start helping ourselves. And if we do that, as Jim said, we'll start helping those around us. Okay, I want to continue this and just share with you guys what the next step is with this list, because there are a couple of other steps. It's kind of hard for me to see because I've got some kind of font information here. We're going to try to, we're trying to see this here. But what do you want? And break your goals down into the 30 days, 90 days, 6 months, 1 year, 3 years, and 5 years. What is your business goal? What is your income? Where do you want to see yourself in these days? It's very, very important to have a 30-day goal and a 90-day goal and a 6-month, 1 year, 3 year, and a 5 year objective. If you don't, you're going to find that you're not going to have any reason to get up in the morning. You don't really know why you have to pay the price. You know, it's one thing to say, oh, I'm going to start this business of Herbalife or whatever you want to do, and have a moment of clarity. And that moment of clarity generally will be consumed as soon as you start going into the activity. And in Herbalife, maybe you're out there starting to talk to people. And maybe you have a couple of great responses, and the next thing you know, there's a couple of people who are very negative, and they just have all the answers and all the negative things, and they throw all this stuff at you, and it's overwhelming. A lot of those things will get blown away, and you'll forget them. So you need to repeat these things over and over and over again. And Bjorn, maybe you can help me to get rid of these font. There's something on the top here of the screen that's blocking me from reading a lot of this stuff. I don't know how to get rid of this font thing that's on here at any rate. So if you can type me any kind of information, Bjorn, I would appreciate it. So that's so again, break these down into the 30 days, 90 days. It's not going to change with the next page. It'll just keep on covering it. So what are you going? For what position do you need to be able to achieve for your income that you want? You know, qualified producer, supervisor, world team, active world team, get team, meal team, press team. As you guys know, supervisor can get you one for Malaysia here. You could make your 1,000 to 3,000 ringgit a month as a supervisor. World team will jump you up a little bit higher. Active world team for sure, a little bit higher. Get team, 5 to 10,000 ringgit, or 2 to 3,000 US dollars. Meal team generally 5 to 20,000 US dollars. Pres team 10,000 to up to 150, 250,000 US dollars a month. We're talking about these kind of ideas. So make sure that you know what position you need to be in order to get to your income goals that you have outlined for yourself. Okay, and the next page here. Slowly it changes. You guys have been doing a great job. I see most of you guys are still with us here, and I salute you all. I salute every single one of you guys. Amazing job for you guys to be here. Now, how are you going to progress? What do you need to do? Well, here's the thing. Wasn't it wonderful to hear Jim Rohn? Couldn't you imagine yourself being in the audience live, hearing Jim do that seminar? There's something even better when you have it live. And so there's something that will give you the best approximation to having Jim Rohn live as you can right now, and that's going to be the spectaculars that come up next. And there's spectaculars all over the world. They're generally in January and February. So you guys are in India, Malaysia, all over the place. And you know your schedule of your spectaculars. If you don't, make sure you find them. Make sure you commit and you go. Make sure that you are the one who is going to be signed up. Get your ticket. Early bird tickets are still available for most of these things. And make sure that you have your people committed to start coming with you. Because if you don't have the if you don't have your ticket and you're not committed, you're not going to have people that will commit to go with you. Why would they? If you don't see the value in it, why would anyone else? So if you're committed, then make sure that you have other people that come with you. It was said to me today, and it was said by Jim and Mark, many times I've heard this, it's so much more fun to be at these events when you have downline with you. It's a whole different ballgame. You know, it's like, imagine if you had Jim Rohn and you were listening to him by yourself, how amazing you would feel. But could you imagine having 10 people there with you that you inspired to come and hear Jim, and what value they took from that training? Or 20, or 50 people there, or 100 people there, or as a president's team, maybe 200, 300 people in the room that are all soaking up this wisdom, this knowledge, life-changing ideas that will be with them for the rest of their life, and you were the one to inspire them to be there. That's how it feels. So with the spectacular, make sure that you don't go alone. You know, give yourself that amazing gift of how it feels to share this with other people. It's life-changing. The speakers that will be at these spectaculars are the very creme de la creme, the top of Herbalife. And most of them have been around Jim Rohn and Mark Hughes many, many years. And it shows, you know, anywhere that you have people in Herbalife especially who have something pithy or, you know, sounds very wise, sounds really cool, well, you generally can trace it back to Jim Rohn or Mark Hughes or both. Because Mark usually learned most of his basic stuff from Jim. So just realize that you can continue your Jim Rohn education by just learning from the top Herbalife people, because that's where they all got it. And of course, you know, anything I have certainly came from them also. So make sure that you guys take advantage of the spectacular that is in your area. The next thing also is going to be your next recruit system training. That's going to, first of all, you have a HOM coming up on Wednesday in January, and that's amazing. So if you know anybody who would like to be exposed to all of this, you know, you guys get a chance to hear training like this, quite frankly, because you became a distributor in Herbalife. If you hadn't done that, you wouldn't have had a chance to have this kind of training today, would you? So wouldn't you think that it would be very beneficial for people around you that you could help them through the door so they could be having access to this kind of understanding, this kind of life-changing information, and this kind of opportunity for health and for income? And that's what the HOM is. And of course, you know, the next one is Wednesday, and they're each Wednesday, 8:30 at Malaysia time. And of course, you adjust that accordingly to your different areas. Of course, we also have the training the next Monday. So Monday the training will be one more training on Monday online, and that's going to be the Herbalife Herbalife opportunity meeting on Wednesday, training on Monday, next Monday. So if you're, and again, I can't read some of this, but make sure that you're shooting for the goal that you want. You know, if you don't shoot for the top, you're not going to hit anything. So don't set your goals too low. Make sure that, if you don't need much, you won't become much. It's not that you have to be greedy and that you have to be insatiable. That's not what really Jim is talking about. He was a very spiritual man. He was a very grounded guy. Jim was amazing. And he was a very simple guy. You know, Jim, some of us were traveling around the world, and we would demand certain hotel rooms, or we would want certain plane reservations. And I remember Jim Rohn going and checking into a hotel, and it was right next to the elevator. It didn't have a view. Look at the wall or whatever. It was small. He never complained. Jim was amazing. He would take whatever room they gave him and just, quite frankly, be fine with it. And some of us really less enlightened people, we'd have all these demands. But the key point is just to make sure that what you want, it's what you become to achieve what you want. That's the important thing. So make sure that you have worthwhile goals, have worthy goals, have noble goals, and go for them. Bite off more than you can chew and chew it. I've heard that said, and I think it's a really great saying. Bite off more than you can chew and chew it. Do more than you think you can right now. It doesn't have to be a ton more, but just a little more. Don't be satisfied. Don't be overwhelmed. Don't be satisfied with being overwhelmed by small things. Stretch yourself. That's something Jim taught us. Mark Hughes was a great example of that, for sure. So make sure that you, are achieving things that are worthy of you. Okay? So and again, I can't read, unfortunately, I wish I could read this. I have some kind of a font thing blocking this. But do, be, have, be worthy of what you want in your dreams. Do what you have to do, and then you can have anything that you want. That's something that Jim always repeated over and over and over. So make sure that you take this and use it to the fullest, and make sure you pass it along. As Jim was saying, that's one of the keys, one of the joys of learning these things is not just keeping it for yourself, but passing it along, giving it to your downline, giving it to your family. We certainly do wish all of our families the very best in 2012. As Jim said, if we become more ourselves, we're going to be able to have more for our families. So it's not just hogging it all for yourself, but the more you become, the more you can give, the more you can invest yourself and others around you. And we're very, very excited. We know we have a great full schedule here in Malaysia. We have an STS coming up with Patrice Valette, President's team member. I know you guys in each of your cities have different STSs. Take advantage of everything as much as you can and use it wisely. So I wish all of you guys an amazing 2012, a great, spectacular January. Thank you for letting me invest my life in your life. And take care. God bless all of you guys. Enjoy the week and make it something truly, truly special. You're welcome, Bjorn. Take care, everybody. Thank you so much. This was a real honor. Good night.